What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Just added some more blueberry bushes, picked them up, working my way up to 100. My buddy's like, Trav, you need to grow stuff that's more calorie rich per square foot. I'm like, dude, I like blueberries. I'm gonna grow enough where I can freeze them, have them every day for a smoothie, every day, all year round. So I'm working up. I think 100 blueberry bushes will take care of our family needs indefinitely. But nonetheless, I was wrong at the beginning of this pandemic. It was like March 18th, 2020, where I was like, hey, I think that this is going to be a deflationary period of time. I had a lot of reasons for that. Then I saw them printing like 4 trillion. Originally it was 2 trillion, then it was 4 trillion. Then I realized, oh, right, they're going to just print indefinitely. This is what's going to happen. And somebody had asked a question that day, and I remember it very well. I don't know who it was, but I remember it was on Instagram. Somebody had sent me a DM and said, Trav, do you think that they could just blow this into another cycle, essentially? And I thought about it, and that question has stuck with me for a long time, because all throughout 2020, 2021, I was like, it's any moment now where this thing is just all gonna tank. And then I realized, nope, he's 100% right. So essentially what they did is 08 comes around. I mean, it starts in 2001, 2000, tech bubble pops, 2001, dollars falling in value. The end of 2001, we have an excuse to go do war. We get into low or cheap money policies. I remember my friend's dad, one of my first mentors, was talking to my dad about how cheap it was to borrow money right now. He's like, oh, it's so cheap to borrow money. This guy was into hotels, had like 12 or 13 hotels. And he was talking about borrowing money. And anyway, I came through high school at that period of time, and I remember having I had an advanced placement AP econ class, which I nailed. I remember arguing with my teacher at the time, Michael. Actually go to church with him now, and it's funny because I always mess with him. He did a good job of introducing us to like John Stossel and all that stuff. I went down to college and I learned about F.A. Hayek and all the Austrian economists, and I was like, yo, bro, why don't you teach us Austrian economics? And he's like, bro, they want you to learn Keynesian economics. That's just what I taught, all right? So anyway, let's get to the meat and potatoes here. This kid asked me, he's like, Trav, do you think that they could just blow this into another cycle? He said this to me, and it stuck with me. It stuck with me for a while because I've been watching this, and I've actually been really, really studying what's going on. And he's right, so I was wrong. We are not going to see a, quote, stock crash. Oh, if they raise the rates, they're going to crash the stock market. No, you have to dial back. You have to understand the game. You have to understand what they are doing. And I don't think that a lot of people understand what they are doing. There is an agenda. It is very, very public. They own the bureaucrats, and they're proud about this. You can watch the World Economic Forum, and you can literally see them talk about how Justin Trudeau and half of his cabinet are students of the World Economic Forum. I mean, these people have literally been educated by these people. And there is a big, big plot to essentially remove the middle class. It should be obvious to you. And you should be fighting like hell to be in the have category, because you're gonna be, by the time we get to 2030, unless there's an epic event, and by epic event, I mean, think of like the Revolutionary War, mix it with a little bit of World War II, mix it with a little bit of Vietnam, add a sprinkle of Afghanistan in there, and unless there's that, you're gonna be living in Agenda 2030, which essentially is live in the pod, eat the bugs. And that's the agenda. And so you should be able to tell at this point in time, you inflate, assets go up, costs of goods and services go up, wages typically stay stagnant, and you pinch the middle class until they break, until, and what they will do at this point in time is they will borrow to stay, quote, middle class. They don't want to take like a piece of the humble pie and go, you know what, we need to reduce our lifestyle here. Inflation is riding up. We need to figure out how to make more income. We need to figure out a side hustle. No, the average dude is just going to borrow his way into prosperity. And because of that, it lines up an epic finale, but it doesn't mean that March they're going to raise the interest rates and the stocks are going to crash. No, it doesn't mean that by August the stocks are going to crash. What I'm getting at is they can pump this bubble for a long time, longer than any of us think, and at a point of their choosing, they can choose to raise the interest rates so substantially that you will have what makes the Great Depression look like a freaking joke. And I genuinely mean that. And I think that it's a positive thing, really, because one, it means we're going to have a finale-like moment where everyone's going to be able to choose a team and we're going to see who wins. So I like that. And then we have time. They're literally buying us time. If they allowed everything to go into an epic recession, I mean, it would look like '08 on steroids, which is hard if you're trying to get yourself, if you're trying to get food security, if you're trying to take care of housing, food, energy, all the basics, wealth preservation. If you're aware of what's going on and you're going I want to have liberty and freedom for myself moving forward, well, that's fine, but you're going to have to obtain resources. And the great thing is right now we're living in a period of time where you can obtain resources, and that's an amazing thing. I also think that we're on a 250-year revolutionary cycle, and so people that don't quite get it yet with all these trucker convoys and all this stuff that's springing up, this is all leading and also helping inflation. And it doesn't mean that, quote, this has to be a 1929 event, because we're probably in 1923, and maybe the cycles will condense, but probably maybe not. I mean, we can continue doing this for a while yet. And then eventually the demographics are so overbearing. There's so many more baby boomers that are selling their equities, and so many few millennials that are buying those equities or homes or whatever, that you end up by nature in a deflationary environment. But until then, we're in an inflationary environment. We're really in a stagflationary environment, and there is nothing on the horizon that would suggest that you have to have an '08-like moment where there's this deflation, where people go crazy with housing because of low interest rates, because of the war in Iraq and all that other stuff, and it creates this housing bubble, and people are speculating on housing and getting 0% down loans, and then one day the bubble just poofs, it just pops. It doesn't have to be like that. Instead, what we could actually be in is this period of inflation, and we have yet to see the crack up boom. And so all these YouTubers out there that are like Kiyosaki and the Economic Ninja and all these dudes out there are this is it, this is the end. Well, one day they will be right, but they will not be right for a while yet. And by a while yet, I'm not talking this spring, I'm not talking this summer. I'm talking they are way, and you can't even call it early. They're essentially calling it wrong. And this is why I throw up my perspective there, because it's I don't think a lot of people are really considering what we are in and what we are entering into, and that we are at the end of a long-term debt cycle, and that when it implodes, and it will implode, and they will have to raise the interest rates, or they will naturally raise themselves, meaning that people will no longer buy treasury bonds at 2% interest because the inflation is literally 10 or 15 or 20%. The market will naturally figure this out. Also, for you guys, my kulaks, figure out where that money is gonna flow to. Where's that money gonna flow to? I'll give you a hint. Metals, miners, and cryptos. And you're talking trillions of dollars. You're talking about Bitcoin being underneath $1 trillion in market cap. Wait until all of those bonds, all that money flows out of those bonds, and the Federal Reserve has to buy all of those bonds. Yeah, it's gonna be epic. But at the same time, they will create so many crises, and I am almost certain of it. At some point, we're gonna see something like a cyber pandemic. We're gonna see that type of stuff happen. I'm almost certain of it, and it's going to be a New World Agenda stuff. Live in the pod, eat the bugs. I mean, look around. How many people have been conditioned over the last 2 years to wear a mask everywhere they go? Oh, to take your medical treatments everywhere you go. How come cancer's up 300% in 1 year? Can anyone tell me that? How come children mortality is up 52x? 52x. This is why I think that you're going to move into a revolutionary event, because eventually they won't be able to suppress this, and they were too late at doing this. Had they done this in '08, they'd really allowed a good depression. They didn't kick the can down the road. Had they really allowed that to happen, they could have pulled it off. But at this point in time, I've got buddies on a decentralized internet that can run their thing over ham radio, that have solar panels on their barn, that can literally communicate with each other whether or not there's a worldwide net. It's obviously not streaming, it's not going to be high quality video, but it's they're too late. I just genuinely think they're too late. But that doesn't mean that we have to see this epic collapse, this housing is just going to crash. No, it's not. I don't think it's going to happen for a while. And to that guy that had commented a long time ago, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, he was right. Like, they can blow this into another cycle. We are at the beginning of that cycle. We're not midway through. We're not halfway through. We are at the beginning of it. If you look at 08, by 09, they had it figured out. It was like 3-month period of time. Same thing with 2020. That bought them 12 years. Can they get 6 years out of the current one? Yes. Can they kick the can on that event and get another 3 years from that? Yes. Can they kick the can on another cycle, dropping in half for a year and a half? And can they kick it again into a 9-month? Yes. What am I getting at? It all lines up with, like, by 2030, what has happened, it will have happened. But we're in 22. We are way freaking early. This is the biggest bull run in human history as far as equities go, and it might not even be at halftime yet. Like, it might not be. It might have a lot left to go. And so, you know, obviously I bet against all of this happening. I precious metals, cryptos, like, I know how this ends, and I'm patient. I don't care. It's not like I want to live in Mad Max, but I just know that we're going to live in Mad Max. And it's like, I want to have metals, cryptos, food supply, good network, you know, my own power generation. Like, I want to get all that stuff. Like, I'm working on that stuff today. I'm working on that stuff every weekend. And I got my buddies that are out of the bar. Like, hey man, Trav, we're gonna go out. You want to bring the boat out? Who's that? Like, no. Like, I got crap to do, man. There's gonna be plenty of time to bring the boat out, hang with you guys, or not with you guys, when you guys are running the farm for your food. And I like this is, you know, I hate to be like morbid about that. I don't want to intimidate people, because what I'm saying is that you got to look at the opportunity in this thing, and you got to see that, like, this is gonna be a good way. I mean, it's really never been easier to build wealth. It's never been cheaper. All you gotta do is buy silver and wait. But you gotta have your bases covered. You gotta figure out, like, how are you going to live during a time that your silver is worth astronomical amounts of money? Like, what's your game plan? You have to have one. But what I am saying is that this whole stock market crash talk, and Robert Kiyosaki, oh, this is it. This is the end. Oh, no, it's not. The interest rates are under 1%, and the inflation is over 7.5%. If we measured it how they did in 1982, which is the only other time in history that it's been higher, or has been this high, it would be over 15%. And the interest rates are still under 1%. This has a while to go. It is not until the interest rates are higher than the inflation rate that this will come down. So don't get fooled into these guys. Oh, there's going to be a crash. Oh, there's going to be a crash. I mean, we'll be talking 2 years from now, and these guys will be, oh, there's going to be a crash. No, there's going to be an event, and it is going to be unbelievably epic. It is going to be so freaking epic that we've probably never seen anything like this in human history. There's a lot of other things happening too, like future videos. I got to figure out how to, like, put it out there and not sound like an absolute kook. But, like, just planetary alignment and stuff. We're going to be in 24. We're going to be exactly in the same position, and as far as our solar system goes, that we were in 79 AD, which is really cool, actually. Like, Jupiter and Saturn and stuff will never be closer to the Earth, so we'll have like some magnetic like interference with that. Like, things will be a little different. We're gonna have cooler weather over the next decade, which right now, the weather's gonna be cooler, right? And like there's just stuff, like, there's cycles in history. And towards the end of this decade, I think that we're going to get to an epic. I think we're going to end up in a completely decentralized, super free world. I mean, people are going to be decentralized from their power generation. They're going to be decentralized from their food supply. They're going to be decentralized from central banks. They're going to be decentralized from governments. Like, I think that when we get into the 30s, that we're going to see a very cool period of human history, but it is going to be freaking nasty and disgusting. But do they have more time? Yes. And is the stock market going to crash in 22? A lot of people are expecting it to, which means, like, stock markets crash when no one's expecting them to. And so, in my opinion, and for the record, I don't think you're seeing a stock market crash anytime soon. I mean, I think it would be good if we saw one so people could wake up and come to reality, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think food prices are going to go up in price. I think housing is going to continue to go up in price. I think assets are going to continue to go up in price in dollar terms. Now, in Bitcoin terms, all prices are falling. I know people hate crypto, but real estate's down like 40% this year in Bitcoin terms. Just saying, like, you know, like, it's it's a report card. I don't want to dive down that too much because it's kind of like getting long in the... So anyway, I think that we just live in a period of time where food's going to go up in price, housing is going to go up in price, energy is going to go up in price, asset values are going to go up in price, things are going to become more scarce, and they're going to slowly mold the plebs into their new world order. And I think at the end it's all going to fail. It's going to fail so epically. It's all going to freaking fall apart. And but until then, yeah, we're early days. We're very, very early days. But that is good because it gives us so much time to prepare for a different way of life, a better way of life. Like I think a decentralized way of life. I mean, I've got a buddy of mine, like a couple acres over. He's got a ham radio. He's got solar power. He's got his food. He's got a massive food forest, like acres of it. He's got 6-figure job in town. I think that is the way that we're gonna move. Like, we're gonna move into that type of society everywhere. And for those that move early and make their moves early, I mean, we started doing what I've been doing since 2016. I started on like, okay, I'm going to get completely off grid. That is gonna be my goal. I'm gonna work towards that goal. And now I've got buddies that are trying to catch up to it, and properties I send them are 500 grand and now they're 750 grand, same type of properties. Oh, Trav, I didn't want to spend over 700. Well, you didn't want to spend 500, but you know, I'll tell you straight up, those are going to be $1 million next year. Like, you're looking at the removal of the dollar as a unit of measurement, and you're going to see a rapid and then a hyper type of inflation to the dollar. It's just what it is. The banks are going to buy it all, but the idea that they're going to let this thing, like, quote, crash, they have a currency printer. It's going to crash when they want it to crash. It's not going to crash a moment before they want it to. They know everything. I mean, in September of 2019, they knew what they were going to do. They had a plan. They are not behind the 8 ball. You're behind the 8 ball if you think that they're behind the 8 ball, because they have an epic plan. Central bankers' goal is to own it all. This is why Andrew Jackson literally said on his deathbed, final words, "I killed the bank." We had a second central bank in North America. Andrew Jackson killed the bank. We had the beautiful period of history from like the late 1860s to 1913. You can't find a better period of history than that. No central banks, like a solid, sound currency. We don't live in that time now. I think we probably will moving forward. But anyway, the video's been long enough. Appreciate your guys' attention. Please send this to somebody that may benefit from this. And until next video, I will see you in the comments. Thank you for hitting that notification bell and those likes. And until next time.